Howdy, I'm Red. Okay, that was terrible. Today I'm going to be reading some r/IDOWORKHERELADY stories. Read by Red. Let's get going. I work...
Security!
So, this has happened before, but not to this extent. I worked in a haunted corn maze this year. Basically, we dress up and scare anyone who walks through. It was all COVID safe and approved. All workers have to wear a mask, obviously, and dress up as something scary. I was dressed up as a little dead girl, but I got called a doll. Not the point. It was one of our slow nights, Wednesday or Thursday, and it was like the last 30 minutes. Now, I was tired, hungry, sweaty, and dirty as hell as I crawled on the ground and I just wanted to get home. I heard someone walking towards my area and hid like I normally did. Now, mind you, no one is supposed to hide in the corn, pick up the corn, and especially not throw the corn. Only the workers are allowed to hide. We aren't even allowed to walk through the corn to get out. We have to follow the paths. So, I hid in the corn and I heard corn being ripped from a stalk. You know the sound after hearing it constantly from kids and other workers taking the low-hanging ones off. I immediately stepped out, ready to be blunt with the person, and see a woman with 4 kids. The youngest was probably 5 and the oldest was probably 16, 17, something like that. You can't touch the corn. Whatever you have, put down and continue on the path. If you're...
Don't tell my child what to do, little girl.
Big kid. Sorry, we didn't know. He proceeds to remove the corn from little kid's hands.
Don't listen to her. She's just a stupid kid. I'm taking this home to cook.
Proceeds to stuff corn into purse and starts walking over, dragging one of the other kids with her. Ma'am, first off, you can't take corn from the maze, and second off, it's not going to taste...
If you don't get out of my face, I will call the cops on you for harassing me and my children.
Listen, lady, I've tried being nice. Remove the corn from your purse or I'll have security escort you out. She then pushes me. I'm in a dress in the cold and that fall hurt. And she walks away almighty-like. Big Kid helped me up and apologized profusely for his mum before walking over and trying to get the corn from her purse. I had enough when I saw her smack his head and scream at him. I immediately cut through the corn. I didn't care at the moment and headed to my co-worker's area. That day, I didn't bring my whistle, given to us in case of emergencies, so I asked my colleague Jay to follow her out of the corn maze. We're supposed to follow suspicious people like kids constantly going into the corn, people we think are drunk, or kids we noticed acting a little strange, like they were carrying something they shouldn't be or were gonna screw in the corn maze. It's a weird area I live in. So Jay followed her out of the corn maze, I think, so I was fine with it. Had her warning given and then she was going to be off on her merry way. Nope. The siren rang for us to go out and pack up our schnitt, so I followed one of the paths I knew out and was instantly bombarded. I got pulled aside by security as crazy Karen was screaming and crying about how a child was harassing her and her angels, and she had a creepy man follow her out, and she's never felt so unsafe in her life, and she wants me arrested for causing trauma to her kids. Last bit my friend heard her crying off about while I was being spoken to. So security asked me what happened. They knew me as the weird worker who would scream Disney lyrics as she walked in to get ready or show up randomly in a onesie and asked who escorted her out, blah blah. I asked her and her kids not to touch the corn. She didn't listen and even started packing corn in her purse to eat later. Security gave me a gross look. This corn is not meant for human consumption. Big Kid, please don't listen to my mom. She's just being hysterical again. Nothing like that happened except the creepy guy part. I don't know if he's a worker or not, but little kid did rip corn from a corn stalk, and she was just doing her job. Little kid.
Mommy told me to, so they have some since the tree.
Crazy Karen is away from us currently, crying into the owner's sweater. Jay finally walked out of the corn maze, probably helping the other guards take out trash, and tilts his head confused. Jay was wearing a clown mask and was a chainsaw guy who ran after people with a chainsaw that had no chain. Big Kid, that's the dude. Me. Oh, I asked him to follow y'all out. I didn't feel safe following y'all out because of your mother, and I wanted to make sure you all didn't do anything like that again. Jay walks over and looks at me confused. Jay usually worked with me, so I could tell his facial features by the slight movements of his body. Crazy Karen, Oh my god! He's the one who stalked me and my children! He's probably some pervert who walks around here to kidnap little kids like the disgusting 30-year-old man he is! Now, this woman had annoyed me to the point I wanted to hit her, but I started dying laughing. Like, to the point I couldn't breathe. Why? Jay was just a 16-year-old kid whose mum was a friend of the owners and several older workers. Crazy Karen was losing her mind, confused on why I was laughing and why the sheriffs weren't arresting me and taking me to Rikers Island. Security. Jay, he's a worker here and he's 16. Now she's going nuts about how they hire human traffickers here and how that we were all in on it and they were lying until Jay removed his mask and face mask to show her how young he looked. I'd gotten to the point where I was using my dress to wipe off my makeup because I was feeling gross. Crazy Karen was basically standing around staring at all of us confused on why nobody was listening to her, and I grinned. Me. Well, as I stated earlier, ma'am, please remove all corn in your possession or I will have security escort you out. Or maybe your cup of tea is the sheriff. Crazy Karen is now banned from the corn maze premise for as long as I work there, and I intend on working there for a long time. Okay, click the like button and the subscribe button. And here's our next story. I work here! Yeah, breaking and entering. Happened to me a few years back. I worked as a junior facility manager at one of the office and conference buildings of our church. I often ran late shifts preparing for the next day. Moving a couple hundred chairs is best done after regular office hours. Closing down, lights, windows, etc., and then secure the building for the night. Since I was just in facility management and at late shifts, nobody was there anyway. I usually just wore some black army clothes to work since they're comfortable and robust, as well as army boots. Again, comfy and robust. And an old field cap. You won't believe the kind of dirt you'll find atop some office cabinets and ceiling lamps. There were multiple entries I had to close down at night and take care nobody was left in the building. Finally, I'd make my last round around the building, testing if every door was really locked, since sometimes the locking mechanism wouldn't snap properly. Unfortunately, the building was at the city centre between the town hall and a police station, so it was just a matter of time before I got to know some of my city's finest. So, two officers are leaving their car when they see some guy in old army clothes pulling vigorously at the doors of the office across the street and feel like investigating. Officer 1.
Good evening. Might I ask what we are doing here?
Me a bit annoyed. My job, and I'd like to be gone in about 5 minutes, so... Yeah, after an exhausting day, I just wanted to get home and didn't feel like being delayed by anyone. Also, Europe, so I had no worry about the cops using excessive force or being a bit brash to them. Of course, in hindsight, this was not the best possible answer. Officer 2.
Well, we'd appreciate it if you'd refrain from doing your work in front of our police station.
Me, very much missing what the police officer is getting at, thinking this to be some kind of harassment, whilst pulling again at the door, which indeed opens. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'll be away as soon as I have taken care of this. At that moment, I reached for my pocket to get the keys and found myself harshly interrupted.
Hands where we can see them. Step away from the door.
Me, freezing in midair, finally realizing the situation. Now I get it. Sorry, I do work here. Seems like my looks weren't too convincing.
I don't think so. Are you daft? We are literally standing right beside you. The sheer audacity. At least we just have to cross the street,
he says while grabbing my arm and shaking his head. No, sir, I can't. I do indeed work here and got to...
Yeah, your work looks quite like breaking and entering, so if you'd just come with us.
By now I was annoyed, pissed, and rather desperate. It was past my shift and I couldn't leave with two open doors. The last one I would lock on my way out. And this late, they might just keep me overnight at the station and check out my testimonial the next morning. So, you're about to just leave this door unlocked and open for everyone else to walk in? Officer 1 to Officer 2, raising an eyebrow.
That's right. Would you go around the main entrance and call their facility management?
Officer 2 walks away and sure, about a minute later my work phone starts ringing. Officer 1.
Take out your phone slowly and turn it off.
By then, Officer 2 returns, cell phone to his ear, trying to reach anyone as I take mine and end the call.
Hung up. I'll try again.
Some seconds later, my cell starts ringing again. Might I? Officer 1, totally oblivious, just gives me an annoyed nod. He's clearly too occupied by his colleague trying to get someone on the line, so we finally could leave, and doesn't put one and one together. Me accepting the call. Good evening, officer. Might I finally lock the damn door as I was about to do before you interrupted me? They were rather friendly after that, and even asked me if I'd like a ride home since the whole thing delayed me past the last metro train. In the end, they were quite nice guys, and as annoyed as I was, for they themselves were just about to turn in when they spotted me. We had a good laugh afterwards. I really like those r/I do work here ladies stories. Read by me, Red. Hopefully you did too, and you've already liked the video, but if you haven't, like it now. And I hope you've already subscribed to my channel. But if you haven't, you can subscribe now, and don't forget to turn on notifications so you get reminded of all my lovely videos every day. Okay, thanks so much for watching today, guys. I do work here and I do appreciate you. Okay, bye!